I am Mimi Barnes, the Communications and Outreach Coordinator for TWRA in the Region 3 office out of Crossville. I am joined tonight by two of my favorites. I love them all here in the region. Captain Matt Clarey is on the right. We have a WMA manager, but he's also a commissioned officer on the left, and that is Rob Klippel. I can't say enough about the two of them. Rob dreams guns. I don't know what you dream about, Matt, but we probably shouldn't talk about it here. Love them both. They are truly experts. They're truly experts on the topic, and I'm sure that you'll learn some from them tonight. So for that, I'm going to mute myself. If you have questions, please ask them through the question and answer, and I will interrupt these two, and we'll get you. Well,
good evening. This is our second gun cleaning class. We just got done with one talking about pistols the last hour. Some of y'all were with us. Thanks for coming back. We're going to learn more about rifle cleaning this time. So, but just a little bit of intro, like Mimi said, my name is Matt Clarey. I'm a captain in the LE division, but my title is I'm a hunter education coordinator for our Region 3, which is our office is out of Crossville. We've got about 24 counties we're over. So I'm usually teaching people how to shoot guns and how to clean guns and all things done that deal with guns. But I've also been involved in shooting guns since I was just a little guy. So probably 30, 40 years of experience shooting guns. And then what comes with shooting is cleaning, obviously, and maintenance and fixing those guns if something's wrong with them. So we've got a lot of experience with that. And I'll just be honest, I'm more of one of those weekend warrior type shooters. I love shooting all types of guns. I like pistols, rifles, shotguns. All different types. I'm kind of a hobbyist when it comes to guns, but I hate cleaning. I want to spray it on there if I can, wipe it off, get it as clean as that'll come, and then put it back in the safe or the case for the next time I shoot. Now, Rob, on the other hand, is just the opposite. He's more of a precise shooter. He likes to shoot long range mostly, and he'll clean a gun. It may take him 2 hours to clean one. But I'll let him talk about his background and his expertise, and then we'll move on from there.
Yeah, and when Mimi said we were two of her favorites, that's because she only knows three people. My name's Rob Klippel, and I'm a WMA manager. I'm over about 18 areas in Region 3, most of them waterfowl. I've taught long range for 15, 18 years. We've been shooting 1,000 yards at toys and BOW. We moved up, we get a new range out in sort of West Tennessee. It's a mile range. So now
not open to the public quite yet.
It's not open to the public. We're going to have classes there.
But we do have it open to some classes.
Where it's situated, you really couldn't have it open to the public. It's right in the middle of the WMA. We're trying to have classes. It's not a good time to start long range because of the ammunition shortage and everything going on. But like as Matt says, I shoot long range all the time. So my cleaning is the gun has to be perfectly clean. The barrel's got to be perfectly shiny and, then fouled. And then we'll start shooting long range. We're going to start talking about all that and how to clean it correctly. Matt, like I said, Matt doesn't shoot rifles every week like I do. I shoot every week. I'm shooting all the time. I'm cleaning guns all the time. So my stuff is to clean every bit of copper out and cleaning these guns properly because I'm going to be shooting them in the next couple of days at long range. If they're not cleaned well, you don't have accuracy 1,000 yards or a mile.
So that leads us into when do we clean guns? That's what Rob was talking about. And every time he does a shoot session, he'll clean that gun. And sometimes in between shots, sometimes just to break that barrel in, and that's a whole nother topic. But mainly, the main time you're going to be shooting is main time you're going to clean it is after every time you shoot it. A lot of people will say, well, I'll clean it tomorrow, and then it turns into a week or 2 weeks. But you want to make sure you clean that gun either after your shooting session or the next day for sure. You definitely want to do that if you're just shooting on a range or sighting in a gun. You definitely want to clean that as close as you can to that shooting session. Now it changes when you're going to go hunting. Rob talked about a story last session about him going to Canada. Now, they had a lot of rough terrain. It was snowing. They were riding four-wheelers with the guns on the back or in front of the pack. And so there's a lot of terrain, a lot of weather to deal with. You know, after you get done hunting, you definitely want to look at that gun. There may be debris in it. There may be some snow. It may be wet. That's going to affect the gun itself, and it also could be a hazard. Anytime you get any kind of anything inside this barrel, could lead to something that could malfunction in the gun. You could get a bulged barrel. The muzzle could, spread out. Lots of things can happen. And we've even seen the action part, which is where everything happens there, explode because there's been some obstruction inside that barrel. So you want to make sure you check that. And then lastly, if you don't shoot as much, or if you don't shoot a certain gun very often or at all throughout the year, if it's, let's say it was your great grandfather's gun and you got it in a safe somewhere, you definitely want to annually check that. Take that gun out, say at Christmas time or first of the year. Just keep that as a time to pull those guns out, check them, maybe re-clean them, re-oil them, make sure that they're in good shape. So that's normally when you're going to clean those guns, after shooting session, after hunting or during hunting even, and then also annually if they're kept in a safe somewhere. And Rob made a good point about keeping guns in cases. Sometimes if you leave a gun in a case for a long period of time, it can trap moisture in there. And moisture and steel do not go good together. So you're going to get rust spots possibly on some of that, on those barrels, especially if it's a blued type gun. If it's not a stainless steel type barrel, it can rust. So keep that in mind. Before we start cleaning though, and getting into that, we want to talk about safety. So I'll let Rob talk a little bit about safe locations and what we want to do with the gun before we start cleaning it.
First thing we want to do, of course, make sure it's unloaded. If it's a bolt gun, the best thing to do is take the bolt out. Now you just have a tube. The gun cannot fire. It cannot function because the bolt's not in it. That makes this gun safe. Some guns, of course, we can't do that with. To take the bolt out of this would be very time consuming. You can do it. You gotta take all those screws out. And notice the actions are open on everything we handle. Same thing with semi-automatics. You can take them out of AR style rifles. This is her style. Of course, you can't clean it from the back. You're gonna have to clean it from the muzzle. You try to clean them from the breech all the time. And if anybody's looking, this gun is not pointed at Matt. It's
right.
Pointed that way.
The angle of that gun is pointed away from me. And that's a good point too. We always want to point a gun in a safe direction, even prior to checking to see if it's loaded. That's actually like number one commandment of firearm safety that we teach our hunter education graduates is point it in a safe direction and then check and see if it's loaded. The other point too to make is a safe location in your house. If you're going to be cleaning it in your house, you might not want to be cleaning at the coffee table when your kids are running around in the evening. Take it out to the garage, take it in another bedroom where nobody's in there and the kids can't get to it. You don't have to worry about that kind of thing. If you've got to get up for a minute and go do something, you don't have to worry about those kids or even unsupervised, irresponsible adults. You got to make sure you keep up with that. So make sure you do that as well. So Rob talked about taking apart the action. Every gun's going to be different, okay? So this is a bolt action. We showed you a lever action and also a semi-automatic. Those are all different types of actions. Each one's going to come apart differently. And some of them, you just can't, it's not a good idea or you're not going to be able to take it apart easily and then put it back together. Even if you read the owner's manual, it's not going to tell you how to take some of these guns apart, mainly because it's pretty tough. So you may have to actually take it to a gunsmith or somebody that knows what they're doing to be able to take that gun down to the level of getting it super clean. But most of these guns we call field stripping them is kind of what we did here with the Volt. You can clean those pretty easy or with just that field stripping. So let's talk. I'll let Rob talk about what he's got here, what he's got it in essentially.
Like I showed you that FN. Even if you took it apart, you're still not going to clean it from the breech because the back comes down. So this one we're going to clean from the breech because that's the way you should do it. I guess we'll start on gun cleaning things.
Yeah, tools.
Try not to ever use a steel rod. The copper ones that sit there and screw together, you're going to break those. The best thing to get is a carbon fiber. And they're not terribly expensive. They're $27, $30. These carbon fibers can last you forever. They don't come apart. The little aluminum ones like this, they come in a little kit. You're going to break those. If you clean once a year, you're fine. If you clean all the time like I do, you're going to have to go to carbon fiber because you're going to break those.
And a lot of these, he's got one on the end of this rod, it's called a jag, and that's going to hold your patches and all the things that you can use to clean that. You know, a lot of these kits that you get from Walmart or wherever will have plastic jags. Yeah, they'll work for a while, but the threads on them will go bad. They'll break from time to time, but they do work, like I said, but it's just like annual cleanings. But like Rob said, if you're going to be cleaning a lot of guns, a lot of times you're going to definitely want to buy something a little
And your
bit
little
better.
jags come in different sizes for different calibers. So you're going to buy a little jag set with your cleaner rod. Patches. I got different patches. The round ones are what I use, 30 caliber, those. The reason I have some square ones is you can take your scissors and make them 22 patches. You
Any size you
can
want.
just make them any size you want.
They also come out with lots of different kinds of brushes. Copper, brass brushes work really well. And then they also have some cotton, like I said, cotton ones that work good to clean that out after you've got all the fouling out of it. And then really good things to have are any kind of brush. You know, you don't have these. Old toothbrushes work great. I know I've used a lot in my time, but they do make some that are metal, that have the brass type brushes, or steel, or just a nylon type brush. But yeah, there's lots of kits out there. Like I said, this is something you would find at any department store or sporting goods store. The different rods are going to come with those kits, or you can order those separate from different places. And then also, you know, we talk about some of these kits that are like mobile kits, we call them, and they're really not for cleaning at home. These are something that you would bring in the truck if you're going to go on a hunting trip, or just kind of a backup type cleaning system. They come with a cable instead of a rod, actually, and you're going to hook the handle to one end and a brush or a patch on the other end, and you're going to pull that through the gun. These work really well if you're, like I said, remote areas. They come with some brushes and some different things, but they're all a little bit different. They work really well. Any kind of pipe cleaners, Q-tips, you know, steal your wife's Q-tips out of the bathroom. They work really good for your gun, getting all those little places. And then this is something that Rob hates, but I love them. This is the quick and dirty clean guide. These are called bore snakes. They make these for pretty much every caliber out there. Okay, this is for like a 22 or a 223 type gun, and pretty much what it is just it's made of cotton, I guess, or nylon. It also has some brass brush in there in the front of it, and you're pretty much just gonna run this through the barrel and pull it through, and it cleans it out. You might run it through 2 or 3 times with some cleaner inside the barrel, but these work really good for quick cleanings. They work really good for shotguns if you're going to be cleaning something in between sessions. But you know, they work pretty good. Are they the best cleaning thing? No, but they do work pretty well. And Rob, I want you to talk about some of the different chemicals, cleaners that are out there.
One thing I didn't show earlier, when you get some of these, well, they usually come with these carbon fiber rods. There's a little cone you can put on the rod. If you have to clean from the muzzle end, you use that cone and place it right there. So a carbon fiber rod is not going to scratch your barrel, but other ones can. So when you clean from the breech, you can use that little cone. Chemicals. Yeah, what Matt's got.
So this is the weekend warrior stuff right here, guys. This is the stuff you're going to find it.
I have to tip them down. I can't see that.
Yeah, we'll pick them up here. But so, you know, this is like all in one. This is a spray, and it has a cleaner, it has a lubricant, oil in there, lubricant, and a preservative, which is supposed to help keep your barrel from rusting. This is a spray on, wipe off type cleaner. Okay, these work really well for in between sessions. Good for a shotgun, just a quick clean on the outside, run it through the barrel. They work pretty good. Now, and then there's all kinds of oils out there. I've got REM oil, which everybody knows about pretty much. This is something that's been used for many, many years. Hops brand, this is an oil, but they do make it cleaner. They're not the best cleaners in the world. I know they're very available. They're everywhere, but they're not the best cleaners out there. But there's all kinds of oils. I've got one here. It's Lucas oil. They actually make motor oil type stuff, but they make a gun oil. Gun Slick brand here. So there's lots of different oils out there. Just pick one that's a good brand that's going to work for you, but you definitely want to use some type of a gun oil on your gun. Now, Rob's got some good stuff over here. It's going to be a little more expensive, but like I said, for higher end guns, you're going to work better.
To get copper out, none of that's going to do it. I guess probably the best one I have to get copper out is Montana Extreme Copper Killer. It's very, very strong with ammonia smell. That's what's diluting your copper, taking it out. Barnes is good. Sweets is good. All these are to get the copper out. All these are going to take the powder fouling out easily. It's the copper that's takes you a long time to get out.
And explain to them where the copper comes from. Some people don't understand.
The copper, when like a 22 slower calibers are not going to copper the barrel because the bullet's not going fast enough. These higher pressure, high powered rifles, the bullet's going fast enough to melt some of the copper and put it on your rifling. And when you look down it before you even start cleaning, it looks black. You're like, okay. So you run a patch there, it still looks black. Okay. And it sort of looks clean. You run a few more patches, you get all that powder fouling out, and then you see the copper. Like I said, that this gun's pointed the other way. I actually use a light, and you can look on the edge of your barrel, and you'll see the copper in there. And you keep cleaning until that copper comes out, and you just keep running patches. Patches and brass brushes, just keep running them. You have to let it sit for a long time. Some of them for like 10 minutes. Do not leave these really strong cleaners in your gun. They can damage them. They'll say 10 or 15 minutes. But clean those. You can let it sit for 10 minutes, and you run some more patches through there. And I actually sit there and scrub back and forth to get some of that copper out. The copper's, once you get a gun broke in, and I guess we'd sort of talk about that, you can, when you get a brand new gun, that rifling is not perfectly smooth. It still has some machine marks in it. So you're gonna, the Barnes way, shoot one time, clean it, you do that 10 times. Then after that, you shoot it twice for 10 times and clean it every time. And every time you clean it, the first time is gonna take you hours. The second time's a little better, it gets better and better. And by the time you get done with those 30 rounds, you're just gonna put the patch through there and the copper is gonna come out way easier. But if you never, ever break your gun in, it'll be coppered and you'll never break your gun in because it's always gonna have a copper bed in it that those bullets are riding on instead of the metal. And the more copper you have in there, and we see this at BOW Toys, you start shooting way too many rounds, it gets so coppered, you start losing accuracy. You can see it at 1,000, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Of course, with heat, it does that too, but we're cooling the guns off. But you can see the guns are just getting fouled. And you have to take them home and clean them, or we clean them out there. Probably 90% of people that never get the copper out of their guns. It's a hunting gun. They shoot, a box lasts them 5 years. They're just hunting with it. They probably don't care about the copper being in their guns. When we're shooting a mile or 1,000 yards and you're trying to get your groups down to well under a minute of angle, you want a clean gun. And the guns, when you clean them like this too, when you're shooting long range, a clean bore will not hit the same place as a foul bore. So a lot of times when I clean my guns, if I'm going to be shooting in a match or something later, you shoot 1 or 2 rounds through it to foul it. And that bullet's actually 500 yards is probably going to shoot, 4 or 6 inches different. And of course, in a mile, you're talking a huge difference.
So Rob is getting pretty specific on shooting just because he shoots such long ranges. Now, if you're like a weekend shooter like I am, and you just shoot up to 100 yards, you sight in your gun and you go hunting, you may only shoot that gun 5 or 6 times in that season. You're probably not going to clean it as well as he's talking about, just because that's probably how you've been taught. But there are better options out there than just a spray can and those type of cleaners that you get at your local store. Look online. Amazon carries those. Some of the Midway Shooting, Bass Pro Shops, all these places will have these higher end cleaners if you really want to deep clean your gun and really get it down. Breaking in a gun, right over my head. I don't even understand that. And I know Rob just went through it really quick, but he does it all the time. It's kind of like, getting your gun set up to shoot at a mile range. It's just ridiculous to me. But when you're talking about that precision, you've got to make that bullet line up in that barrel as well as you can. So, but the main thing we're talking about is cleaning, obviously. And that's what we're going to do here. One thing we didn't talk about, other than all the cleaning kits and the rods and the jags, there are some things out there called sonic cleaners or ultrasonic cleaners. You've probably seen those. And I did this tip is a good one. If you're a person out there that's married, you may want to listen to this. If your spouse has jewelry, tell them you're buying a jewelry cleaner. Okay. You can clean your gun parts in it as well. So keep that in mind. It's a good trick. But they essentially what you're doing is you're going to take all those parts, the bolt, the magazine, whatever is something that you want to clean. You throw it in this ultrasonic cleaner or sonic cleaner, put some cleaner in it, turn it on, it warms up the liquid in there, and it actually cleans it really well. So you just take it out, wipe it down, and then oil it pretty well. You may have to scrub it a little bit, but it breaks all that up. And what I call it, it's magic. It's magical.
If you reload, the sonic cleaners, if you don't have one and you reload, they are worth it. I got one. They get in the primer pockets when you're reloading. So yeah, you can use them for gun parts. If you do reload and don't have one, I love mine.
So you're talking about cleaning your brass with it.
The brass, because I reload.
He reloads his own ammo, so he takes that brass and puts it in there and cleans that before he reloads, and it gets it super clean. So that's another good tip. What kind of oil do you have over here, Rob?
Look, it's motor oil. It's 020 fully synthetic. And what they do at gun shows, they will put this in this, and they will charge you $10 for this when you could have got that for like $5. This will last you years. It's synthetic. It gets down in the metals a lot better. It sticks on it a lot better. I've used that for my guns forever. It protects them well. Like I said, we were at a gun show and the guy goes, yeah, the stuff in this tiny little bottle, it was $8. It was motor oil. It was 020 full synthetic.
Well, if this makes a point, this is made by an automotive company that makes oil for cars. It's called Lucas Oil. They're known for their synthetic type oils and their upper end for engines and stuff. That's essentially using metal against oil for metal. That's what you're needing. So it's a good tip. If you clean a lot of guns and use a lot of oil, that's a good tip. You can use that. Now don't go out there and take out the old motor oil out of your lawnmower and use motor oil on your gun. We're not saying that. Brand new 020 synthetic oil will work on your gun. Okay?
It's a really, really thin oil.
Yeah.
When you think about motor oil, you put in your car like 1030, that's much thicker. This is a really thin, fine oil like you're going to see in gun oils.
Exactly. So we've talked about some of the things that we're going to use to clean it, some of the oils that we're going to use to lubricate it. Now Rob's going to walk us through how he would clean this gun at home. So we've already, like I said, pointed in a safe direction, unloaded it, made sure it was unloaded, but visually and physically checking to make sure it's not loaded, taking a magazine out if it has one, or unloading the magazine if it's inside the gun, okay? And so the next thing he's gonna do is essentially put some cleaner on a patch, right?
Yes.
Will you two mention if someone needs a vise or what you would recommend?
Yeah, so Rob here has what we call a bench vise, and it holds that gun in real securely. You tighten all these knobs down and it will securely hold that gun. Now on the other hand, like I said, I'm the weekend warrior guy, so I go to Walmart or Dunham's or whatever. I think this is made by Case Guard, and this is pretty simple. You're just going to set the gun inside here, and you can use this as well. You hold all your stuff inside of it. All your cleaners, your patches, all the things, jags can go right in here. But if you're going to be cleaning for a while and heavily cleaning this gun, you definitely want to get a bench vise. But for 20 or 30 bucks, you can get just a little a bench like this to clean your guns as well.
If you clean your gun and you don't want either one of these, everybody's got old t-shirts, old rags, jeans, whatever. put them on the floor, point the muzzle down so it doesn't damage it. And that's how I clean 90% of mine, because I'm sitting down. Usually this I use mostly for scopes, but this carbon rod that's a little bit more expensive, they have ball bearings right back here in the back at the handle. So when you're pushing this patch down through there, it's rotating with the rifle instead of just trying to force it straight. And your cheaper little, well, we don't have one of those.
Like this
Your
one here.
cheaper ones, well, that one doesn't have ball bearings. They may have a little keeper there. This one's actually got real ball bearings in it.
This one will spin, but it's real rough.
And notice this gun was clean. I don't know if you can see the blue on there. There's blue. That's a little bit, that actually came off the jack.
There's a little bit of copper showing in there because of that cleaner. It'll show you if there's copper in that barrel.
If this gun wasn't clean and we did it that time, it would come out black. We did put another couple through there, it would come out black. You're getting the carbon and the powder fouling out. After I did it a couple times, I'd run the patch back and forth several times and let it sit. And I do use a light and look, like I said, in the edge right there, if you can still see that copper, your gun's still got copper in it. It's gonna have more copper back here where it's higher pressure. But it's got copper up here, you know there's copper back here.
Yeah,
so you gotta keep running patches, brass brushes, letting it soak until you get all that copper out of there. And like I said, that's when you're wanting to shoot a small, 1/2-inch group at 100 yards kind of gun, or an inch group. Most all guns will shoot an inch now. This is a little Ruger American 308. It's got a little 18-inch barrel. It'll still shoot inch groups at 100 yards. I've hung the barrel, but there was something else I forgot to. They do make grit to lap your barrel, which is when I keep saying hone the barrel. That's what I mean. And then they make JB cleaner that takes copper out. So you put it in there, run it back and forth. It's slightly abrasive. It's not going to hurt your rifling. It actually polishes it. And that's what you're doing when you're lapping it. When you take this gun and look up the light, that whole barrel should look like glass. It should be smooth, just perfectly smooth. And you can feel it even when you push the patches through there. If you have the rough spots, some stuff still in there. And you can look through the back, and if it's just copper, it will look shiny. But if you take a light and look up there, you'll see that copper. And like I said, if you're shooting your gun 3 times a year deer hunting, it don't matter.
Not going to matter that
95% of people's guns are coppered. They don't care. It ain't going to matter. Because they're not looking for that 1/2-inch group, that inch group.
But if you are, there are good choices out there to make to do that. So once you've gotten all the copper, all the fouling out, then what's our last step, pretty much?
Once you let it sit, we have to run a dry patch through it, because you do not want to let that, especially these strong ones, do not let them, it'll say right on them, let them sit 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Do not leave them in your gun. They will damage your barrel. So we're going to run a clean patch. Well, we were going to run a clean patch through there.
Essentially, he's going to run a clean patch through the barrel, clean all that cleaner out of it, essentially, get it just dry as you can. And then once he's done with that, our last step obviously is going to lightly oil the barrel, right?
Lightly oil the patch and run it through there. And you don't need much. You just
a couple drops on there just to get it, because if you put too much oil, that could be considered an obstruction possibly. So you just want to make sure that you run a little bit of oil through there.
If you get excited with your oil and you put it all over your gun and all over the action and you think more oil is better, store your guns with the muzzle down so that oil does not stay back here in the action and gum it up. Store them down. And then if you're going to go crazy with the oil, make sure you run a clean patch through it before you shoot it after storing it.
But definitely want to put it on all the surfaces, the barrel, the bolt. Where's the bolt at there, Rob? Definitely want to clean this off as well with any kind of cleaner, get all that. There won't be much fouling except on the end possibly, but not much. You just want to make sure there's all obstructions and all fouling off there, or grease or anything like that. Get that all off, and then add your clean oil on your bolt, so it'll work a lot easier on there. So really, in a nutshell, that's what it is. But the main thing is and I said this on the last class, was there's an owner's manual in your box when you buy your gun. You know, you may buy your gun used and don't have an owner's manual, but they'll be online. You can Google that gun and you can find a user's manual. Read that thing. It's there for your purpose. It's going to teach you how to clean it. It's going to teach you how to obviously operate it. Then it's also going to teach you how to store it correctly, how to oil it and keep it lubricated to be able to use better for the next time. So definitely do your research on your gun, because every gun's different. Like I said, we showed you a bolt action, but Rob also showed you a lever action and a semi-automatic. They all come apart differently. You have to clean them differently. Some things work better than others. So just keep that in mind. And all these things that we've showed you, obviously, there's so much out there. There's no way that we could show you every product or every little toy that you could, or tool that you could buy to clean your gun. But you just need to go out there and find what works for you the best, but make sure that it works well, obviously.
We didn't touch on 22 rifles. They are going to foul just quickly, especially semi-automatics where that bolt's coming back and there's still gases there. It's going to blow all that stuff back in the back. They make little AR-22s. I have one. They're fun to shoot. They foul. I don't know. We shoot 200-300 rounds through them, and they're fouled up and starting to jam. So we have to keep those clean quite a bit. Like I said, the semis are worse because when the bolt comes back, there's still pressure in there and it blows all that. And it's worse when we put suppressors in there, it blows all that back. ARs, same thing, that gas system has to be cleaned. And ARs are simple for me to clean, I think so.
Yeah. Like I said, every gun's a little different on how they come apart, how they clean, how many parts you're gonna be cleaning on them. But like I said, learn that gun. Either find out through a user's manual on Google or a person that knows what they're doing. And if you don't, take it to somebody that knows what they're doing, whether it be a gunsmith or somebody that's worked on guns for a long time. We talked about this last class as well, and also it's a good point. YouTube doesn't know everything. Okay, I know everybody says I'm going to look at a YouTube video and I'm going to figure out how to change a light bulb. Sometimes they don't know. Okay, so be careful with the videos you watch. Not everybody's an expert. Anybody can have a YouTube channel and can put information out there. Usually, if you can find maybe the gun manufacturer, they will have some videos. Brownells is a really good website that you can get on and find out how to take care of a gun. And it even shows you how to use the products that they sell on those guns. So I'm using those a lot just because I have so many different brands of guns that I keep up with that are in my hunter education program. I'm always trying to figure out how to fix them and how to take care of those. So use what's out there. And if you don't know, ask somebody. You can call our agency, you can call us. We can try to help you as much as we can. Obviously, we're not gunsmiths, but we may know a little bit about how to be safe about it. So.
And the gun, we did talk about the gun rods. When you see these at Walmart, and that I'm sure that case costs $30, $40. This rod costs $30. The little jags probably cost $19. If you buy the carbon fiber rod and some jags, they're going to last you forever. If you buy the little Walmart case, you're going to go through 2 or 3 of those. If you clean guns a lot, because those little aluminum rods are going to break. They are. So just save yourself. If you're going to plan on cleaning guns for a long time, save yourself some money, buy the carbon fiber rod, buy the jags, and they're going to last
a lot longer. So, are there any questions, Mimi, that we have from anybody since we've been in here?
There are not any questions at this time. Anybody have any specific questions I'd like to ask these two? They are well.
And also a point that I made as well last time was, if you have any specific type gun subjects that you'd like for us to cover, we may be able to do that with it, whether it be an AR type gun and you want to learn about, how to take those apart and clean them. I mean, we're not going to get into how to change triggers and all that kind of crazy stuff, but we could at least get into that, because I know a lot of people are buying those type guns nowadays. If you want to know more about specific type guns, or even, what type of gun to choose for different sports, whether it be shooting, hunting, or just target practicing, we can talk about those kinds of things too. We're probably going to focus more on what we know, and then also what we promote. We're not going to get into type brands or anything like that. Of course, we're going to talk about them, but we're not going to promote any of those. mainly what we're going to be doing is talking about, what you're going to use to go dove hunting, or what kind of gun you're going to use to go shoot 1,000 yards. We can do those kinds of things. So let us know in the comments or in the survey that you're going to get after this class. That'll help us know what to bring to you guys. Because like I said, I know it's a weird time right now. We're not able to host as many classes, but we can bring you a lot of information through this virtual learning type thing. So
I really appreciate the two of you and your expertise. Definitely take advantage of TWRA's classes. Please watch for that survey in the future. And if there's something specific you'd like to see from our agency staff, taught by our agency staff, let us know. Matt, Rob, I appreciate both of you so very much. Thank you for those of you who participated tonight. And at that, I will end our time together.